Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. It is I, Alisa, and you have tuned in to Put a Pin in It. Conversations by Alisa. But today, it's a lot of people that is up here today that is going to help me have a conversation. Okay. Tonight's panel is all about education, it's all about understanding. And I am so happy to have with us a I'm talking about extensive panel that is going to help us understand the journey and the life of being in the LGBTQIA plus community. And the people that is going to help me on tonight, we have, of course, y'all know Bree. I got Bree. Got Bree with me tonight. And I have, look who I got with me tonight.
Hi.
Okay. I have Conscious TV himself, him, he, or whatever you feel you want to call him.
I love it.
I love your hair. I love the blue.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Conscious, I wanted you to come on here because Bree and I was having a conversation, and both of us was like, light bulb, we don't know what we're talking about.
No, we're talking about.
So we need to get a panel together to help us understand. And we are here wanting to understand. We're not here trying to nook. We ain't trying to nook nothing. We're trying to understand. All right. So somebody is talking about from Switzerland.
Hey,
love
baby.
and hugs. Hey, baby Zaddy, Conscious.
Yeah, that's one of my baby mothers.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Hello. Conscious is the only person you see up
here. Bree,
bruh.
Conscious presenting Alisa and Bree.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I give myself a hand. All right. For you all to get to know the panel, first I want to add Joy, but she walking up and down the doggone. Where you at, Joy? But I have to add Joy because Joy did the background work for this. Joy and Bree, actually, they did the background leg work for me. I mean, Joy took it and ran. Almost the whole panel is up here because of Joy and I think Amy. So could you please introduce yourself, Joy?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And you can hear me very well, correct?
I can.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I am Joy Young. My pronouns are she and her. I am a proud member of Alpha Lambda Zeta Fraternity Incorporated, where I currently serve as the NSB. Okay, I am also a mystic and millionaire. I'm a little bit of everything. I am a bringer of joy and happiness, and that's my LS that just popped into our chat. But I'm ready for this conversation. I'm ready for the discussion, and I'm ready for my community to be exposed in the perfect light that they are in. And so I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to every guest and this conversation.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I'm telling y'all, we have an extensive. It's a lot of people. So here we go. Britt,
Howdy.
howdy.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Oh, well, evening. Shoot, it is late. I'm sorry. I'm Britt, pronouns he, they. Currently living in the DMV. I was invited by Joy. I too am a member of Alpha Lambda Zeta Fraternity Incorporated. I am non-binary transmasculine, and I'm pretty sure that's why I'm here today. So happy to be here.
Thank you. All right. I'm gonna go with Lynn.
Hi. I
Hi.
didn't think I would be so soon. But my name is Lynn Dinah Prince Morrison. I'm with Epsilon Psi Delta sorority. I am a founder. I am a trans advocate. I'm part of the National Trans Visibility March that happened in 2019 on DC. And I am the mother of the march, and I'll be speaking this year at the march. Will be held in New York City this year, which I reside in. And my pronouns is she, her, and beautiful.
I love
And
that.
I'm glad to be here to shed some light on this subject. And I'm just glad to be here.
Thank you. All right, next we're gonna go with Amy Diaz.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Amy Diaz, originally from Brooklyn, New York, currently residing in South Carolina with my beautiful wife and our children. My pronouns are she and her. I am the founder and national president of the Lambda Nu Dynasty. I identify, my pronouns are she and her. And I am glad to be here to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you. You
Shout
getting
out to
some
South
love in the comments
Carolina.
too. A lot of love. All right, next we're gonna go to Dr. Elijah Nicholas. I know a preacher named Nichols. Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm Dr. Elijah Nicholas. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'm excited to be here. I identify as a trans man. I was assigned the female sex at birth and transitioned about 5 years ago from female to male. And I use the transgender language because that's what is within the social context that people can understand what I really am or who I really am is a spirit here having a human experience who happened to ask for and claim the Black trans male human experience. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Oh, he deep, y'all.
You hear me? Got us together real quick.
That part.
I'm just going by what y'all saying, but I am a human having an experience. Hiya. All right. Next we got Candace Evans.
Hi, everybody. My name is Candace Evans. I currently reside in the city of Chicago, Illinois. I'm a founder, one of the founders also of Epsilon Tau Delta Sorority Incorporated. Um, I am a heterosexual woman of trans experience. I'm glad to be a part of this podcast, and I just can't wait to hear what everybody's opinions and thoughts are about it.
Yes. Glad to have you, Candace. All right. Next we're gonna have the Winstons.
Muted. Oh, there you go. Hello, I am E.L. Winston, and this is my wife, Ronnie. He, him, and she, her. I am a trans man. I am also the founder of Lambda Gamma Omega Nu Fraternity Incorporated, and also the other founder of the Lambda Nu Dynasty, along with my sister Amy. Excited to be here.
Glad to have you.
And North Carolina.
North Carolina
That's
is
where I'm
where we
from.
decided.
Hey,
Hey.
best in the world,
Hey.
Carolina girls. That's what they say. Deny. Was it Denia?
It's
Danae?
an it's an A.
Danae. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danae Hall. I currently reside in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm a proud member of Epsilon Chi Delta Sorority Incorporated. I'm a disaster case manager. That's what I do, and I'm just excited to be here.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right.
I might have to
Yeah.
go back to college just so I can have some letters because I'm sick of this.
You see what I'm saying?
I feel like a minority.
I already told you.
You know, I
already
was
told
sitting here
you.
thinking the same thing. Like, wait a minute.
I'm up there with them. I'm about to get my doctor. All right, so we about to bring on the panel here. Okay. I'm gonna put on here as many as I can. Joy, you let me know when you want to come on, and I'll bring somebody off.
Hey, classy queen. That's one of my mods in the chat.
Let me see how many I got. I might can bring you on here, Joy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, this is it right here.
Okay.
Because Britt said she'll come on when needed. Didn't you, Britt? Wave your head. Yes, that's what she said. All right. We are about to have a conversation. This podcast came about, like I said, because Bree and I were having a conversation about this just hilarious situation, and the T.S. Madison situation. And in the midst of us talking, we was like, we don't know what we're talking about. And we we want to make sure that because we're gonna have to coexist, right? It's not like nothing's going away.
Right.
It's not like poof be gone, everything's gonna be gone. You know, the world has changed, and this is what we need to learn how to love each other and coexist together. And the
And
only way
respect
that we're gonna know how to do that is to understand each other. Okay.
Correct.
And so, and that is what this panel is about. All right. So we're gonna crack it open. I have a question. So I know Amy is gonna help me with this question because when the term cis came out, I really didn't pay too much attention to it, y'all. I was just really just trying to be honest, get a clickbait. I really was not really paying attention to the word, but when I started talking about it, somebody said that the term came around in 1994. Is that true or false?
Okay, well, that's going to be an answer. Dr. Nichols, you correct me if I'm wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, it did come out in 1994, and it was a term to just identify a woman born at birth. At birth, you were born at birth as a female.
Okay.
So it's not a word that just came about yesterday. It's a terminology that it's a scientific terminology that has been around for some time. As of late, it has been used more in, I'm going to say, popular culture, or more often than not in the LGBT circles, to identify women that have been born female.
Okay. Oh, so you said 1994. To me,
Go ahead.
1994 is not.
Hold on 1 second. Lynn, go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
I was going.
You're not wrong. It's just that it's also used. We say to describe a female who is assigned female at birth, and also it's used to say that you also align with the gender you was assigned at birth as well. So that means you were born cisgender woman, and you also identify as a cisgender biological woman. You don't identify as trans or anything else. So that's what the term is written for.
Sex though? Can they go for male and female?
Yes.
Okay, so it's whatever you align with. So I was born as a female, I align with being a female. My son was
Exactly.
born a male, so he aligns as being. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay.
So,
Okay.
for,
Exactly.
like, I just want to make sure because, for instance, I am a queer woman, but I am a cisgender woman because I was assigned female at birth,
Birth.
and I still reside and present to the
I,
world that way. So I am still a
and you
cisgender
identify,
woman.
and you also identify as a woman.
Hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
all. You wasn't wrong, Amy. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. That's all. You wasn't wrong.
So can I ask the question?
Sure.
Okay, Mrs. Winston, correct? Okay. So you say you are queer, right? What does that mean? So you're what does that mean? Like what when you say you're queer, but you align with a female, what are you saying?
So I love that question. So, so, because oftentimes when we're talking about transgender issues, concerns, those sorts of things, then we're getting the trans person's experience.
Mhm.
But I am the spouse of a trans man, and so. But once I came out of the closet as a lesbian, like that really became a major part of my identity. Like I really functioned in a very open and affirming environment. And so being a lesbian really, it really was a part of me. Like oftentimes we'll say, you know, my sexuality, that's not who I am, but it really was. It really sort of directed people who were in my life, where I attended church, all of those sorts of things, the interactions in my family. And so when my spouse and I met, I still identified as a lesbian. But he already had this very male energy. Like our our children, the moment they met him, he was immediately dad. There was no, you know, it was just like that was automatic. And so there was something different about this relationship. And so when he began to transition, I really had to think about what did that mean for me? Being a lesbian was such a part of who I was. What would that now look like? And what did that mean? And although, you know, most people, even within the community, would consider us a heterosexual couple, there is still something unique about us. And I want for that uniqueness to be evident. And so, you know, because if tomorrow, you know, he were to decide to run off into the wilderness, what? Although he's not allowed to. But if he were to decide to, I'm not looking at Bob, I'm looking at Becky. So I that lesbian part of me is still there. You know, when I'm looking and seeing who looks good, I'm not looking at, you know, the fellas.
So
Um,
you're not a lesbian because you are married to a trans man.
yes.
Okay, got it. But
Yes.
if you were not in a marriage with a trans man and it was a woman who aligns with being a female, you would be a lesbian.
Yes. Yes, and
But this is
that's
where
my personal journey. You know, you always have to be always consider that people's journey is their own,
Mhm.
and that is the journey that I really was on because for me, the LGBTQIA plus community is still so prevalent, so significant in my life. The other part of that is that when I meet various people, I do not want them to believe that I'm not a part of that community. So that's the other part of that, that when I present to the world, I can very easily, right, move into heterosexual environments and people would not know. But I want you to know.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I wanted to be clear.
Okay.
and
And
one thing that
Bree,
people
oh,
need
I'm
to
sorry.
understand real quick is that sexuality and gender are two separate things.
Two separate things.
And
Right.
Can
that
we
is
get
one
explain
thing.
that?
Okay, so my gender identity is either going to be male or female or non binary, meaning that I don't fall in either category, right? My my gender identity has absolutely nothing to do with who I choose to have romantic interactions with. Meaning that I can be
Where?
a cisgendered woman and be and that have nothing to do with me being a heterosexual woman, a queer woman, a pansexual woman. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. I think that what happens a lot of times is that people conflate the two and mix them together and feel that just because I am a cisgendered woman, that me being a heterosexual woman has to be, or
Mm.
I have to identify as non binary to be a lesbian, or to be pansexual, or to be trans. No, those two are mutually exclusive from one another. And I can be a heterosexual woman and identify completely different from that. I just completely confused myself in that thought. I can I'm sorry. I can identify as I'm sitting here right now and tell you that I identify as he him and say that I am a straight I'm straight, but that's separate, completely separate from my gender. And a
Right.
lot of people don't understand that. And they put the two together. They should never be together. They're different. So just because you identify as a woman, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to automatically identify as a straight woman. You can identify as an LGBT woman, meaning that you can be gay. You can identify as, a pansexual. You can identify as anything within the alphabet. That's up to
Right.
you. That is your choice. But that doesn't have anything to do with your gender. Just like we
Right.
have trans women, trans women who identify as lesbians.
Got you.
That's a perfect
So,
example.
right.
Say that again.
Because
Just
of
because
trans women, yeah.
There are
a
some trans
trans
women who
woman
are also lesbians, which means that they identify as a woman, but still have an attraction
to women, but still have an
So,
attraction to a woman.
to a
and I
woman.
think, and I think what's helpful is that people have to separate female from woman and male from man.
From man.
And so
Hey,
when you're
say it
dealing
again.
with, you separate female, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Say it one more
Separate
time.
female, so separate female from woman and separate man from male. So when part the reason for this conversation is that cisgendered women want to own woman. No, anybody can carry that identity. You
Hmm.
just can't carry female because biologically you're not designed in that fashion. And that's where it's
Bingo.
convoluted. But
Okay.
another part that I wanted to bring that up, but to Amy's point, but then another part that the Winstons brought up is that and I do want us to touch on it, so we want to write this down in our notes as a conversation piece. All partners don't transition with their partner.
That
Mm.
part.
So she transitioned with her partner to identify as
Wait a
queer.
minute.
A-
Quit.
Wait.
Yeah, that's a
Y'all
lot.
y'all
Wait a minute.
taking me too fast now. Wait, back
Wait,
up. Back up.
like,
Back up. Okay, so somebody's listening as we're talking. So if you have your device on, you got to like mute it or something. Is it me?
no.
No, it ain't me. I'm
Is it
I'm
still
he-
echoing?
I'm hearing everybody talking. But anyway, okay, we got this question, Joy. What is pansexual? We'll come back to that. But you said that everybody's partner don't transition
With
with their partner.
Correct.
And
Exactly.
so how does that work? Do they like not stay together or like
No.
Sometimes I had a couple that we were counseling with, and they are not together because she is a lesbian. He
mhm,
is a trans man that identify as man.
mhm.
He doesn't even take on trans. And that is another part of it. So You can if your partner is transition, you can be supportive, but that doesn't mean I want to be a heterosexual, identify as a heterosexual woman. I want to identify as a lesbian because when I met you, this is some of the conversation. When I met you in this position, this is what I was. Just because I'm supportive of your transition does not mean I want to identify as a heterosexual because you're now identified as a heterosexual.
So to get this straight, this example is two females, and one of them transitioned to a male. And
Yes.
now the female, they were both lesbians, but now one is a trans male, and now the female doesn't want to, because she wants to stay a lesbian. She don't like peen.
That's basically what it boils
Yes.
down to.
Okay.
Okay.
Let
I'm
me
just
fix
trying to get it together.
No,
But
let me be real honest with you. That was my experience. I had a partner who wanted to transition from female to male,
Okay.
and they did not want to engage. We said we wasn't going to talk about sex. Father God.
I mean,
They did. No, I'm gonna be in transparent moment.
okay.
I am a lesbian. I'm a
Okay.
whole lesbian.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm take that to mean what it means.
We got
I'm
it.
a whole lesbian.
We got it. We got it. We got it.
When they decided to transition, they no longer wanted to engage as a lesbian because now they were a man.
I get it. Okay, I got
Get
it.
it now?
Yeah, because
So
I was
now,
confused. I'm like,
so
wait a minute,
now,
I'm confused.
if I am true to myself and going to operate and be in my authentic self as a lesbian, then we cannot be, because you no longer operate as a female for
Gotcha.
me, and we can't engage as lesbians clearly. So
I
with
got
that
it
being
now.
said, I can love you
Can
and all that you are, but we can't be together
can
as
I say
lesbians.
something? Can I say something, sis?
I hope that cleared that up.
Yeah, you get it all
Can
the
I
way up.
say something because um that doesn't necessarily have to be the reason. You understand what I'm saying? We don't even have to be talking about that part of it, right?
Mhm.
So for a lesbian woman who is attracted to a woman, understanding my transition, I change physically, mentally,
Mhm.
completely. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the bedroom part don't even have to change at all, right? But I still become another person, not another person, but the person that I am. You understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like now, what I projected um from the inside now matches my outside.
Mhm.
And so if you are attracted to um a woman and you wake up and realize that what those things that you liked about that feminine or that female part of who I was no longer exist, right? So it don't even have
Mhm.
to be about that. But for us, I'm very thankful that my wife decided to continue the journey because she didn't have to, right? That would have been her right, because when we got together I identified one way and now I identify in another
Mhm.
way. But as she said, who I am now is who I've always been. Like I've always showed up in the world this way. So I think that made our transition as a couple easier because who I just showed up the same way, just different in some ways, if that makes sense.
What it
Gotcha.
is, you showed up as your authentic self as a trans man, but what you do in the bedroom is completely different.
Yes, ma'am.
For instance, I'm a trans woman. I identify as a woman, even though I'm not born female. I was born male, but I also carry the weight of womanhood with me. And what I like sexually is different from how I present.
Mm.
For probably people know. But actually, I consider myself a heterosexual woman. I like only men.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing a woman can do for me but be my girlfriend and my sister. That's it. Now, if anything else needs to be done sexually, I need a hard body, long, stiff wood man. Let's be real. Other than that, it's not working for me. It's not
You
going
better
to
tell
work
them,
for
Lynn.
me. That's how that is. It's not changing today, tomorrow, or next week. But like I also want to hit back a little bit, which is true, that I think the problem that we are having a lot of times today is that they want to conflate, you know, the sexuality and gender, and make them and because most people feel like, okay, because you like trans women that you're gay, or you like trans men that you're gay. And I tell them all the time, if I'm a woman and he attracted to me, that means he likes all women. That makes my man heterosexual, not gay. Because man, I tell you right now, he don't like boys, he like girls. Whether it's a trans woman or a
I'm
cisgender
shifting
woman, he
some
likes
people around. I'm
women.
sorry. And
And
I
with
thank you.
me,
Listen, this is great. First of all, I have learned a lot already. And I want to thank you guys. This is good to me. I'm learning a lot. I have another question. So when you are so how do you confront those that are not showing up who they are, and you get into a relationship with them, and then all of us, I mean, I guess you just break up, but how does that feel to be with someone that is faking who they are?
Mm.
for one, I would say for me, I think if you're faking who you are, it's not going to work because the real you isn't showing up present.
Mm-hmm.
So that won't work because again, you said fake. Fake is not real. It's opposite of real. So if you're showing up someone else in your skin, then how can we have a genuine relationship? We can't because you're not whole. You're not your authentic self. You're putting on a facade for other people. And believe it or not, a lot of men and women do that very thing every day. They pretend to be someone else that they're not deep down inside, to also appease society and family.
Absolutely.
Because for one, just because you're born with a penis, don't make you a man.
You know, man.
Because you're born with a vagina, don't make you a woman. It makes you female and it makes you male. Period. So therefore, if you're not showing up as who you try to present to me, and that's fake, I can't even deal with you because I'm too real for that.
Gotcha.
I don't
I'm
want to add.
showing up as me. I'm
Can we
showing up
just
as me every day.
we want to add though, Lynn, also the fact that ultimately whether we're talking about sexuality or gender identity, any of those things, I mean, let's think about our history now. None of us are on here and just started dating yesterday, right? So it doesn't matter what type of relationship you're in. You have met someone that they were sending their representative in the beginning anyway, because they were trying to figure some things out about themselves. I have a friend. We've been friends since high school. She and her husband have been together since she was a senior in high school and he was 20 years old. There were some things that they ultimately had to figure out about themselves as individuals. They are a heterosexual couple, but they still in the beginning were sending their representative. And so I think when we think about that, ultimately it really is the same thing, not about fake, because we don't know, we don't like that fake word, but really about that I'm not living in my true self. I'm still working in a process to discover who I am, to figure some things out about myself. I mean, let's be honest, most of us, we were our not authentic selves until we were about 30 something, right? Because it took some time to figure it out anyway.
And can I say also, in going through the process, right? Like I'm originally from Chicago, right? So there's never been a time that I couldn't be authentically myself, right? It just was a journey for me to get from thinking the process all the way out, right? Because at some points I didn't have the correct language or the understanding to get to where I was going. The other thing I see a lot since I moved to the South is, I mean, let's be real, like it is a dangerous time for us, right? And so I know it's a lot of brothers and sisters that's not trying to take that journey out loud and proud, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's something.
It's hard.
It's hard, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I could go to the store and not come back for just being who I am.
True that.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of.
Can I add to that too?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I want to follow behind her.
Okay.
Just to add on to that, myself personally, I have felt that I have always been a woman, even since childhood. I never identified with a male at all. Me myself being a woman of trans experience. Honestly, I grew up in the South. I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I was the little kid that was in the choir. I was raised in the church. I was raised around heavy Christianity in a household where basically church was all you did. You either went to school and church and other stuff that was related to church. So you didn't do the Halloween and all of that. But I never had an issue with that because they treated me as how I presented myself, which was as a kid. So yes, I asked for certain things. Like I wanted the ruffle socks the girls used to wear for Easter, and I wanted an easy bake oven. And my grandmother actually obliged me with all that stuff. So I never had no issues when it came to gender or something like saying, "Oh, that's for girls, so this is for boys." I genuinely always have been myself, and I always carry myself as a woman. I always knew that I was very dainty, and I think my family knew too, and they just automatically just resonated with me because of the energy that I possessed and gave off. But going into my adult years, I never was confused about what I wanted to know. I just never knew the name of it. But I knew that myself, I knew that I was a woman. And I resonated with that so much because I felt that if I know that I carry myself as that, people will treat me like that. Like I've never said, "Oh, I hate my body, I hate this." I basically knew that I was going through my process early, and it sounds awkward, but it's always how I felt. I think also too working in the education field with kids now, I currently speak to a lot of kids who are going through those transitions, and speaking with a lot of parents that don't understand about those processes, and knowing that um, so many things can pop up easily with knowing about gender dysphoria or knowing about how you know if your kid will ask certain questions or be a part of that type of realm. It's harder for them to quite understand exactly how kids can possess those at such a young age. And that's where I think the confusion comes in. People think, "Oh, you're too young to know what you want to be." I feel like when you come out the womb, you know what you want to do. You will gravitate to. You know what you like and what you dislike. And I hate when as a culture, because now we're in the part of the cancel culture, that we say, "Oh, well, that ain't what everybody else do, so I ain't with it. We're gonna cancel that. We cut it off, we clip it." And I hate to say it, like in African American backgrounds, we never anything that's different or shies away from those religious aspects as we were brought up. It's very hard to say I'm going to steer away from that and I'm going to do my own thing. Because we are so shunned, and we already bring up the fact of not only are you black, you're in a country where people barely take you serious. You're somewhere where you're always given the short end of the stick. You don't get afforded the opportunities that others get outside of your race. You're going to
Hello?
I think she froze. I
Yeah,
think she froze.
froze.
Okay,
But just kind of piggybacking off of
Huh?
what Candace was talking about, I think bringing it back to that just hilarious piece is where I got upset. One of the comments that I kept hearing was the black woman is the most disrespected woman on the planet. I'm
We
gonna
are.
repeat that. The black woman is the most disrespected woman on the planet, and yet black women were disrespecting other black women. And that was the piece that had my head in a tailspin that entire week, because I couldn't understand how us as black women were sitting essentially thinking that we were sitting from a place of privilege almost, because that's how it came across to those of us in the LGBT community towards our trans sisters, almost looking down to them with our noses down to them, like, how dare you? But our trans women get killed day after day after day after day after day. Our trans women are discarded like trash in the street. And black women had the audacity, and I'm sitting here as a black woman saying, had the audacity to say what they said about our trans sisters, and said that, oh, that we are the most disrespected women on the face of the earth. Well, trans women take on the cloak of black women and wear it with pride and walk the streets with their heads held high, and are the first set of women on the battlefield at Capitol Hill fighting for our rights to do what we want to do with our bodies. Hello, somebody.
That's right. That's right. Tell
Roe
them.
versus Wade. Roe versus Wade. A lot of people do not know who stood on those steps way back when in the women's suffrage movement, and who stood on them steps even as of late when the Supreme Court decided to strike down those laws. And I'm not talking from a place that I don't know. Let me be clear. I'm an elected official in the state of Pennsylvania, the first lesbian and the first Latina and the first out woman to be the Democratic chairperson in the state of Pennsylvania for the Democratic Party. I'm not talking something that I don't know. Trans women were the women who stood there on them steps even as of late, fighting for those rights for us as women. Not just black women, but all women. So I think that, just even from the standpoint of us as black women looking down at trans women, let's just take a step back and let's be human. Let's look at their humanity, not their gender, or not that they transitioned. Let's have some compassion.
But Amy, that goes back. But Amy, that goes back to earlier when of them not understanding where the word cis comes from. It goes back to that, because when you think about it, back in the day, even to this day to a degree, there's always been this language used to describe the LGBT community, gay men, lesbians. Either you're a dyke, you're a fag, you're a punk. Those words have been used to describe us in the LGBT community for years. And they have used them terms frequently all day long. It was part of the natural vocabulary of heterosexual straight black men and women. So now here goes a term that comes up that says cis, and all it says is that you align, you identify with who you are assigned at birth, gender at birth. So now it's like they feel that the word cis is a dig towards them. It's a derogatory term towards them. I don't like the word cis. It sounds like a boy or some pus or what have you, something like that. When it's an actual medical term, legal medical term, to describe who you are and who you were assigned with at birth, in line with at birth. So they have used that language for years to describe us. So now there's a language to describe who you are as a heterosexual man and woman, cisgender man and woman. They look at that as a dig. It's not a dig. They look at it as to say, I don't like that term. It sounds negative towards me, what have you. And I'm like, well, so then you understood all these years of the terms you use towards us. So why would you assume that that's a dig, or, we're trying to get our lick back on you when we never got one to begin with, if that makes sense. So I kind of feel like it's a way for them to use that to other you feel, to say that, oh, you're not me, you're that, you're this, you're not, I'm real, you're not. And that's a way to diminish who you are, degrade who you are, and belittle who you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? It's not a dig towards them, but they feel like it's a dig because they've been doing that to us all these.
Renaud, introduce yourself and then ask your question, and then we're gonna let Conscious say what.
Yeah, he has something to say. You remember what you was gonna say, Conscious?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hi everybody. I'm Renaud. I'm Renaud. I have a podcast called Not Safe for Church, and I'm a gay man. And but I don't know. I think for me, just even hearing this conversation, I think a lot of it is people not understanding both sides. I don't know. I'm not saying one person is right, one person is wrong. But I think when we live in a world and we try to understand people from both sides, we can all win. But I think we have a lack of understanding and not trying to see empathy for both sides. I'm not saying that, women don't have the right to feel how they feel. And I'm not saying trans women don't have the right to feel how they feel. But I think it's just a lack of understanding. And sometimes at the end of the day, nobody is going to feel justified. People are going to feel how they feel. But at least we can have a conversation where we're like, okay, I see what you're saying. And so I don't know. I just feel like sometimes it's more like, no, I got to be right, or I got to have the right answer, when really it's like, you may not ever agree with me. I think about even like my own sexuality journey with my parents. They may not ever understand it. They might not ever get it, but we agree and we love each other and we understand. But I just think, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes with these conversations, it's like, there's nothing to prove when you're just being yourself. If you feel how you feel, you do you. Your community will support you. The people will support you. They would you have your people, but everybody might not rock with it, and it's okay. But I don't know. I just am not living in a world where I want to be right, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. Conscious?
Yes, as it related to the earlier question about would it work with somebody who's faking it, I think that's a loaded question. I'm not even sure if I even like the term fake as it relates to people who conceal themselves, because a lot of that inauthenticity comes from fear and imminent danger. What I don't like about the term there being fake is that it completely removes homophobia, transphobia, and queerphobia from the factor, which plays a major role in why some people would rather pretend to be something that they're not, or show up in the way that they are. And just in 2023 alone, we've had 417 anti-queer legislations presented to the U.S. government for consideration. This idea that 2023, who cares? Well, apparently the majority of the country still gives an entire damn about how you identify. And we know that because we can see the clapback and the resistance, even when it comes to accommodating language like cisgender, which is being used as a gender affirming term. And you would think that in a space where biological males and biological females are arguing that they want their own, that they would be rallying behind a term that absolutely separates them from their trans peers. But instead, they're resisting that because they don't want to be honest about the inherent anti-queer indoctrination that they've suffered from since they've been a child and been pumped and dumped with Western Christian mythology and patriarchy, etc. And until the Black community can honestly address their homophobia, because I will give our community this. We always say we're the most gentle and the most accepting of people. Yeah, I can see that. From the ex-cons, you turn into pastors, the thieves, you turn into ministers,
Woo!
the whores, you
Come
turn into
on.
prophets and prophetess, but yet Black
Come
queer
on.
people are not afforded that same
Woo!
acceptance, baby, because when it comes to our identity, like, let the village people come in with the teepee torches and the AK-47s and rush to the polls. The fact that we had a president and have current politicians running for office and are using anti-queerness as a way to propel
vote.
themselves
Mhm.
into mainstream says a lot about where we still are as a community. So my big takeaway is that for all of those who want honest men and honest women in relationships in the world, if you don't like the DL community so much, how about get rid of queerphobia, and then you will single-handedly destroy the download community. People have good reason to self-preserve themselves, and I think that if you're going to meet people with economic violence, political violence, social violence, that it is a logical response to preserve yourself, because not everybody is built for that level of the road less traveled. And the fact that people have to sit in their truth and say, if I admit this, I have to consider losing my mother. I have to consider losing my father. I have to consider losing the respect of my church. I have to consider the type of community that I live in. Look at what just happened with O'Shea Sibley, a young professional dancer in New York who just came from the beach with his friends, listening to Renaissance, and was killed by a male religious fanatic because he simply was being too much of his authentic self in 2023. So the issue of queerphobia is going to have to literally be uprooted and met with great contention and confrontation in order for us to clear up a lot of things that bleed over into the LGBT community, including the way that trans women and trans men sometimes are pressured to assimilate, which a lot of times is also out of surviving, because I have transgender females and transgender men and women in my life. And I see what my non-passable friends endure every single day versus what my passable trans men and women friends have to endure. It is night and day at the level of privilege that my passable trans friends get to experience versus my other trans peers who don't have that passing privilege. So I'm gonna just shut up right there.
No, Conscious, I think what you said was a lot.
That was
Conscious, what you said was a lot.
that was
Because Danny and Winston and Dr. Nichols, I know that you guys can kind of speak to that portion of it when you guys talk about being able to pass and fearful. Danny and Winston are my brothers and sisters. I fear for them every day. Winston, especially, because that is my brother, and God help me if one day he does not make it home for me. Just because he can't be his authentic self. And I always tell them, and I give them their flowers. All trans people, we have to give them their flowers because it takes a special kind of human being to be able to walk in your authentic self and in your authentic skin, to walk this earth. And Conscious, even you outwardly being yourself and expressing yourself in your authentic self is to be commended, because you don't know if you come home tonight. You understand what I'm saying? And even our Black men, we have to praise you when you walk in the door, because we don't know if you're going to make it home either. And it's like, it's those types of things that we have to, as a community, start looking at and paying attention to, and start addressing internally, and start looking at ourselves and saying, hey, Instead of us fighting each other and pointing the finger at one another, how about we come together and start fighting the common enemy that we know who and what it is, and start embracing each other and being a real community to each other. There should be no reason why our LGBT youth lose their entire families because they choose to be their authentic selves.
Right.
There should be no reason why our trans brothers and sisters can't just go to the store or go to work, without being harassed, bullied, or even possibly killed. Like, or you choose to express your gender expression the way you so choose and not be harassed in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Like, all we want to do is live.
Right.
That's all we want to do. Like, and I almost want to cry when I say it because all we want to do is live. We don't want to bother nobody. I'm 43 years old. I'm a married woman. I have 2 kids. My wife has a career. I have a career. We're pastors. We pastor a congregation of people. We're an affirming church. And you have
Wow.
no idea how many congregants come to us and say, you don't know how much church hurt we have from the same people who claim to love us. But the moment they find out that we love differently from them, how they treat us.
Mm.
So let me say something real quick. Everything that you guys are saying is amazing, and this is very informative. Um, However, let me tell you what my experience has been. I have a friend. I've known him since we were like in the fourth grade. I've always known, that he was a part of the community. However, back then it was just you was either gay or you were straight, right? Either you like boys or you like girls. It was nothing else other than that. However, let's fast forward. He identifies as, him pronouns. However, he looks and dresses like a woman. And I went to his 30th party, and I've never, because I grew up in church. My mother's a preacher, so we were told homosexuality is wrong. You're going to hell if you're a homosexual. Period. There is no this or that. It's either you gay, you straight. If you're not, you're going to hell. Like whatever, right? So the experiences that I've had. So when I went to his 30th party, I was around, his friends. Never in my life been around gays and shit. I've never that much, but I was open to it because I wanted to understand the your lifestyle. I want to understand why that's what you're choosing. I'm not judging you. I just want to know why. So, we're going to the gay clubs and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I'm just sitting back watching and how they love each other and how they really support each other. Very commendable. The LGBT community is very tight knit, and you guys really support each other. However, it starts sometimes, not everyone. It comes off as, and I don't see it in a lot of trans men. I think I'm saying that right. I don't see it in a lot of trans men. I see it in a lot of trans women. Am I saying it the right way?
It depends on what you're trying to say.
Are you talking about females who are transitioning to male?
Yeah.
Which is trans men.
Okay.
And
Got
females who transition.
Right. I don't want to mess it up. So I find it a lot when the male is transitioning to a woman, a lot of disrespect. A lot of, I'm the same as you, or we're the same. And I think that is where the problem in lies. When is you're discrediting the woman who is aligning to be a woman. And I think that is where we have to come together, I guess, and help each other out, because no one wants to be disrespected, right? And a woman who aligns, or who was born as a woman, who aligns as a woman, as you guys said, we still want to feel as if we are respected in that space. And I think a lot of it, when we're being called certain names or whatever, just like the whole the cisgender part, right? I didn't even know what it was. And at first, I was offended. If you go back and look at the live, I was just kind of like, don't call me that. Like, why are you calling me that? Just call me a woman, right? But with education, and that's why we wanted to have this panel, because it's like, we don't understand it, because it comes off as this is coming off as disrespectful. If you ask the question, we're being bullied to be like, okay, you're a woman, it's fine, we good, instead of just explaining, what it means. And I think that is the disconnect, it's the disrespect of it. Not you guys have been very respectful, but I think a lot of it is disrespectful, because it's like, okay, you can't just erase the natural born woman.
Well, if I can, no one is trying to erase.
Before you go
Okay,
into
go ahead.
that,
I'm sorry.
before you go into that, you know what I think the breakdown is? I think the breakdown is social media.
Hmm.
I think it is
Yeah,
gaslighting.
for sure.
Yep.
Definitely
Because
propaganda.
I think
Sure.
Propaganda. Yep.
I think it's a agenda behind it.
Yep.
For
For
sure.
us to all, and I've been thinking about this, because why would they not put out the whole clip? Why are you just taking clips to put up for
Mm-hmm.
people to, and then when you see the whole things, now you got egg on your face. You're like, okay, if I would have
That's
saw the
not what
whole
that was.
video,
Yeah,
then I wouldn't have been as mad as I was. You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
I've
the
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So
I was
I
thinking.
have learned to now, since we've had that conversation, because I went off about the cisgender thing, and I was being funny about it, because they said it was in 1994. I was like, 1994, I'm older than 1994. How you gonna call me something that I'm older than?
Can
Like
can I
it,
can I say something real quick? The
yes.
words for cis and trans are actually Latin prefixes. That's why they were medically
There go
used,
my
and
brother.
they were used as early as the 40s, actually, in
Okay.
scientific studies about gender and sexuality. It only got popular within the 90s to differentiate, because it started to become what's the word I'm looking for? It was offensive when you say, "Oh, this real this," when you were saying real woman, and then trans, or real woman, and then you're not a real woman, you're a trans woman. But
Hmm.
it's like it don't invalidate the trans womanhood, just
For
like you don't
sure.
want the trans woman to invalidate your womanhood.
For
Now
sure.
that
So
you
that's
say
why
the
they
40s,
started using the word cisgender. It's been
okay.
used for many years, and that's why.
40s is older than me. So yeah, I get it.
Hmm.
But
Well,
94, I
actually,
wasn't
well,
accepted
actually,
in
Alisa,
1994,
too.
sis.
Actually, to Will's point, the Lat the the Latin prefix goes all the way back to 1914.
Okay,
It can
I
it can
accept
be
that.
Yes.
it can be found in German sexological literature as far back as 1914. The real
I
reason
accept.
I think
why
somebody said that, right?
well
I
everybody
don't
been saying
remember.
No, the last
1994 when the
no, the
term
last live. The
oh
one that me and Lisa did. They said, I remember they saying
Somebody did mention in you all's chats.
yeah
1914.
it's
Hmm.
But I was
1914.
already off on 1994 by then, so
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
see it.
I know I might
So
sound. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I might sound a little crazy, but I don't, and I just don't think everybody in the LGBTQ plus community is all the same. And I think that's something we have to realize too. Because like I'm a gay man, but I don't be that deep in other people's business. Like you just are who you are to
That
me.
part.
And
right.
like, if you want me to call you she, I'm gonna call you she. If I'm gonna call you he.
Yeah.
I do whatever you want me to do, and I just don't get that deep into it. But I don't know. I think I just get so confused even in this moment. It's just like if something is different, why do you want to? For me, and this is always my question, like, why would I
Mhm.
want to be something else? Like, I don't want. Since I'm gay, I don't want to be straight. So I don't want nobody to call me straight. So I guess I don't know. I might just be really off.
Here's
And
the
I'm
real
not
reason why we are using the term cis and trans and all of that. These are being used in the context of being gender affirming. The reality that's not being talked about is the fact that queer people accommodated queerphobia up until the last 10, 20 years. And now those
True.
same people that were willing to live under the sewers,
yeah.
willing to hide under the bridges, willing to keep their culture, willing to keep their creativity in the underground ballroom scenes of the community, are now living
Above ground.
sewer level. Now that they are day walkers, and we're living in this society now where all these people are bleeding into the same spaces, into the same workplaces, into the same highways and byways and bars and dating apps. Now we need language to accommodate all of these people who have become a melting pot. So if I was to just say, I was on a yacht, I was on a festive yacht with a bunch of women. In today's age, where now language has expanded and man and woman are now being taken out of the physiological context into a identity context, you don't know what type of women I'm talking about. It may have been a blend of trans women on that boat. It may have been a blend of biological women on that boat. And I may need to make those type of distinctions when I'm talking about the community of women, because woman now also encompasses trans women. The term man now also encompasses trans men. So now that those terms are birthing over into identity things, we're just using language and expounded upon language just so that everybody has the convenience of situating society and being able to identify all respected parties, etc. Which is why you only hear the term cis when it comes to general conversation. Clearly, nobody is greeting Elisa as, hey, cisgender Elisa, or hey, cisgender Bree, or like that's not happening. Yeah, that's not happening on a personal, interpersonal level. It's staying within a general context just to accommodate discussions in spaces that call for more nuance when it comes to.
I'm sorry. So I wanted to make the statement, Bree, you had, and it's just to kind of expound on what you had stated, the disrespect of it. The disrespect.
Let me say something real quick, because I see in the chat. Let me be very, very clear. Let me be very, very clear. I said from my experience. I'm not saying that is across the board. And I don't have any. Someone in here said, how is it disrespectful for one to identify as the same as yourself? That's your ego making it seem. No, I don't have any ego. What I said was, if
from your experience,
I have been disrespected, and I'm not a disrespectful person. That's just not who I am. Like my friend said, if you want to be called she, him, that I cannot disrespect that. However, if you want me to respect you and where you are, don't disrespect me and try to just, well, y'all don't really matter. You see what I'm saying? Like I can't remember who it was that said women got what they have from drag queens or something. It was something that someone said, and I'm like,
Talkie Santana.
Yeah, like
Talkie Santana.
You have to, like, you can't be disrespectful. To me, that's disrespectful, because I'm like, okay, if you want me to respect you, then why can't you respect me? I said in my experience. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. That's not who I am. This is not my ego talking, because it's not that serious for me. Whatever you identify as, that's just what it is.
Well, I think a lot of times we have to take in consideration us as a LGBTQIA community, plus all of that we're on defense on a lot of times. And that hurts us because we come into the conversation on a defense. And one of the examples is when you was in school, and if you had a unique name, your name is Jaquavius, and the teacher messed it up, you're going to correct that teacher. But then the teacher come back, well, I'm going to call you Jay because that feels comfortable with me. That's is disrespectful.
Absolutely.
So with that, so now we got to have the conversation. I've given you the opportunity to call me by my correct name. When you don't, now I have to take it. But then some of us who have, and let's deal with the people who have unhealed issues, whether it's hurt trauma from church, trauma from family, we're always on alert and into that village. What's the word? I can't think of the word I'm trying to use, but we're on alert to the point where the first time somebody disrespect or don't accept me for what I'm presenting to them, I'm going to automatically go off. So we have to work on that. as a lesbian, I had to go through that as well because I wasn't accepted. I come from the church, Pentecostal Holy Bible Church of God. They didn't want me.
Right.
I have more church hurt than I got life hurt. So with that being said, when I went into church, I know that I walked in with a bow tie or anything like that. I had to deal with them automatically turning their message on me. And I have to be strong enough to say, I know God well enough that I don't need your approval. And everybody's not there. Everybody's not there. Everybody's not walking in their truth, whether it's their truth of identity, truth of gender, truth of sexuality. Everybody's not there. But when you're comfortable, and because and I'm raised in the South as well, all we knew was transsexuals, all we knew was bulldaggers, all we knew was dykes. That is how they were. Everybody was identified.
Don't
Then
forget
it
Carl
went to
Munches.
exactly. So then it went to gay or straight. Then it went to lesbian, and then at one time the bisexual part of the community was being attacked because it's like, well, you just selfish because you like everybody. So it's like across the board, and nobody wants to have the conversation of what you can just be you, and it's okay. You don't have to make me feel comfortable at any point. When I walk in work, I am a project director. I own the spotlight when I get there, and white men can't take that.
Got you.
I am very dominant, but I'm very feminine in the same sense, and I own all of it. So when you're walking in that, you never have to worry about any disrespect on it because you can have my ovaries if it's that important to you. I don't care. I want and that's just how it is on across the board. I'm not arguing with a biological woman or a non-biological woman. I see you for who you present yourself. If excuse my French, if you present yourself as an asshole, I'm going to address you as that. But if you present yourself as somebody who wants to have a good conversation or respectful, I'm gonna take that. And if I can't visually identify you as a male or as a female, then I will ask, well, what are your
Ask.
pronouns?
Right. Ask.
And that is what a lot of heterosexual people won't give the courtesy of saying, how can I how do you present yourself when you see a bodied female, let's not biological, not just biological, a female that has breasts with a beard, you're going to automatically act like that's a disgust to the world, and that's not true.
Right.
They don't have to have surgery to make you feel comfortable to call them a man.
Yeah, it's whatever they're comfortable with, right?
Exactly. And that's where, to me, where the problems and communication is coming. Because if I see you and you got a beard and you are presenting yourself as masculine, I'm going to identify you as that. But by me being in the community, I know how to separate it because you get it a lot. You can see a transgendering man who hasn't went through the full transition or had the surgeries that some people have had privilege of. And then they're disrespected the most because you see boobs that's typically bigger than yours. You see a behind that's bigger than yours, and you see a beard, and then you think they're nothing. And that's where we have a problem with.
Well, can I
Or
just
when
ask,
you
I
tell
want to ask, I
somebody,
think we should just ask everyone what are your pronouns? Like that really should be a part of when you have corporate events and you're like, let's just ask that, because here's the thing, like you just mentioned, Joy, just because with my eyes I'm making an assumption that someone looks a particular way, but that may not be the way that they identify. So I think
Right.
out of respect, we really should. They said earlier, now I'm not gonna, I'm not, I don't go around introducing myself to everyone. My name is, Ronnie, and I'm she, her.
Right. Right.
But, in appropriate settings where I'm going to use it on a regular basis, I really should be asking that question. So that I can respect a person. And back to Bree's point, because I definitely I think the point was made about where sort of some of that comes from. Really, we often will discuss it that when we talk about that we come with community baggage, right? And so we as Black people, we have some community baggage that we come from. We oftentimes just blame the church, but let's be honest, outside of the church, a whole lot of other things were going on too within our community, and we come with that baggage. And then to be a part of this community, the LGBTQIA plus community, that there is some baggage there as well. And the idea of what is disrespect, because see, that's the other part of it, is that, for instance, Bree, you referred to choosing and a lifestyle and that sort of thing for this conversation, and those of us who are here and we can hear what you are trying to say, we understand that conversation, right? But we also know that there are areas and spaces where people are offended by things, and rather than allowing us to give an opportunity, I think it goes back to what Will said earlier, or not Will, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name now, Ronaldo, I believe it is, about this idea of I don't even have to necessarily understand. I just need to respect. And that's the bottom line, that when I hear things, if I can say, so let me explain to you, hey, the next time you want to refer to this part or this thing, because as a Black woman, my experience may not be the same. When we talk about, we seem to pretend like we don't know as Black women that colorism is still an issue, right? I mean, I can remember being called all sorts of names on the playground, right? But now if like you have people that if they hear the word monkey, right, they ready to run out in the street and fight, right? But because of those experiences. And so that's where that comes from. And so now, because a conversation has not been had for you, Bree, now that becomes an area where it's like, well, my goodness, now I'm sensitive in that area because this is what I've gone through. But what is the conversation we're willing to have? And I think this is one of those that really plays a part in it. So,
and that is why we decided to have this conversation, because when Alicia and I were talking, we were like, well, dang, like we don't even really know. We've never had this conversation. Like my friend, I don't have these conversations with my friend because I don't want to come off as insensitive, because I'm just going to ask you a question. If you don't want to answer it, then just don't answer it. However, I will never understand if I don't ask the question. But then this goes back to my point. I'm not sure who it is in the chat. It's like, okay, if I say something, it's being taken as offensive. And I'm not trying to be offensive. I said that, one, we needed to have this conversation. And then two, this is from my experience. Just like
but
everybody.
Bree, with your friend Bree, have the conversation. Let me be honest with you. Winston is my brother, and even with Winston, he not gonna have it.
I think,
girl, get you a good Judy, a good Judy, a good Judy gay friend, and have a conversation.
But he's not going to, because of how, in a way, he's told, like, I've had to tell him, like, I'm not embarrassed of you because we came up in church, right? So, and I think that is the biggest struggle, because he knows my mom. He knows my mom is a preacher. My mom is not judging at all. Like, my mom, cool. If that's what you want to do, it's your life, right? So we tried to have the conversation, but he could not be open because he's thinking, well, maybe I'll judge or something. And I'm like, no, I really just want to know. I came to your 30th birthday party, your whole weekend, because I just really wanted to understand and be around your environment, because I didn't grow up in that environment. So I don't know. I was just raised, my grandfather, my mom's dad, he was a homosexual. He's been with this. He left my grandmother when my mom was 5. So, but because of that generation, my mom just totally cut us off from him. Not, because that's what it was. But then coming with the years and and the community being more acceptant, it's just kind of like, okay, we have to have the conversation because I didn't grow up in that space. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a disrespect. It's not a disrespect at all.
Bree, we gotta get you some gay friends, Bree, so you can ask all the questions, girl. Because we want to answer the questions.
Go
So
ahead,
no,
Conscience.
I just wanted to speak to
Conscience.
the
Go ahead.
situation because I can see the tension boiling over
Go
between Bree
ahead.
and Anya. I know Anya; she's a supporter of my platform, and
She's doing too much though. You got to get her together because she's doing a lot. She's doing a lot, and I'm trying to be respectful, but she's doing a lot for me because one thing I'm not is disrespectful. I have too many businesses. I have a family. I have a lot going on in real life, in real time, off of this. But I'm not. I don't play them type of games. I'm not disrespectful. We are the ones.
Are you reading the comments?
Yeah, she in them
Yeah,
comments.
because I'm
like
like, what was
Kaya
that?
in them comments. But I
Please.
just want to explain
Please help me
Anya's
out.
context a
Help me
little
understand.
bit,
Help
just
me.
because we had this conversation, because we're always having these exact same discussions over on my platform, and something that I have said as it relates to the pushback against the term cisgender is the fact that, in my opinion, it's backed up by some form, fashion, or variant of transphobia. And it may just be on an unconscious level, because I think that there's a lot of well-meaning people who believe that they are all inclusive until it's actually time to be inclusive. Like until it's actually time to give up something, until it's actually time to accommodate in some way, until it's time
to stand up and say something.
Yeah. Until it's time to turn it into a verb, it's all good. But then when we get to turn it into a verb, there's all this knucking and bucking. I think that what Anya was saying is, because the issue with the TikToker is Blessing Rose, and why she got clapped back was because she was saying women are being the gatekeepers of womanhood. And this brought up a big conversation of what exactly is womanhood and manhood, because that, to is Blessing Rose's point, is very different for all of us. So, for example, Brie is an American melanated woman. She has had a different womanhood than a Middle Eastern Muslim woman who may also have a condition that allows her to grow a full face of hair. That's a whole different womanhood than Bree's womanhood. So when things get said like, well, trans women are saying they're like us, but you're not like us, then we get into, then what is womanhood? Because not even every biological woman is like Bree. Not every lesbian or heterosexual woman is like Bree. Not every, that is across the board for all women are not having, like black women are having an entirely different womanhood than white women. White women are having an entirely different womanhood than a Latino woman. So I think that's where Anya was kind of challenging you a little bit at Bree, but I don't think she meant any harm. But I think that's kind of the spear she was kind of.
No, that's fine. I don't care about the challenging thing. It's the whole my ego. Like it's not that serious for me. Like if I am sitting here telling you, and Lisa can attest, if I'm sitting here telling you, listen, whatever you identify as, that's fine. And I'm respecting you, then that's exactly what I mean. There is no, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm not playing in nobody's face. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to understand because I don't know. I just know gay and straight. When we started talking about this earlier, I was so lost. I didn't know what was happening. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny because I don't understand, you just live your life or however you want to live it. And we all just live with you. It's simple.
I think she was referring to.
I'm gonna say this for the trans community, as a trans woman from male to female. We know, and this will make me mad some time myself with the whole issue too. We know as trans women that we are not biological born women. We know this. We started out in this body from day one, so we know what our anatomy is. Starting up there, okay? We're not trying to take, y'all woman, y'all cisgender, biological woman experience and say it's ours, because we know there are some things, some aspects of biological womanhood that we would never experience.
And I don't think that. I don't think that at all. I mean, but if you want my site, I'll just send it to you in the mail.
I mean, far as like, we could never have a period. I get mad about the whole period thing. My thing is,
Oh
why
yes.
would that even brought up at all? Number one,
Yeah.
as a trans
It's
woman,
because it's a fact.
because only
Because not all
because
women
only
are having a menstrual cycle.
cisgender biological born women assigned at birth can have children. The administration. Also, trans men can have administration, and also gender non-conform, non-binary people who are assigned female at birth can have administration. We know as trans women from man to woman cannot. We cannot have menstruation. We cannot give birth. Those things it's beyond our control.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
when it comes to womanhood, experiencing what it feels to be a woman and the experience of a woman and being called, being treated, being seen as a woman, we feel those things. We also, hold those things ourselves. But I think when they say that, that women have took this from the community, from the trans community, they're talking about our lingo that we use, our style of dress that we use, how we wear our makeup today, how we do our makeup. A lot of that has come from the trans and drag queen community that also the cisgender women today enjoy that they did not do back in the day. So when they say, yes, y'all took these things from us as trans women, it's true. But we can't take anything from you all as women, as cisgender born women, because we don't have those things to take. We don't gatekeep, period. We don't gatekeep birth. I would never refer to any cisgender violent woman as a birther, as a breastfeeder, or she's a all this other shit they want to come out and say for cisgender women. I would never do that because that's not what you are. But I think also the hostility that comes,
Can I jump
that comes from
in there
trans.
for?
Hold on, I'm listening for 1 second. I also feel that the hostility that comes from trans women when it comes to cisgender women at times, because I can speak for myself as a trans woman. There has been times I have been around cisgender women, and they have put my life on the line around heterosexual men
Mm.
by calling me out. Oh, that's a man, or hey, y'all see it over there, or or point out to a group of guys. That's a man right there. They have put our lives in danger, all the time. So I think sometimes it comes out with some of the girls. It's just like somebody said earlier. It's an inherited um, mechanism of defense that we automatically have. That sometimes I feel like it'd be unjustified at certain moments. Because right now I commend both of y'all for having this podcast because you want to learn and understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. A lot of people do not want to understand. They don't want to learn. They don't want to comprehend. They want to stay biased in their ignorance again to other you. To say that you are this, but you're not me.
Right.
You're that over there, something else I don't know, but you're not what I am. And that's the problem because that diminishes our humanity, who we are as people, and things that we do to help push us forward in the black community. For instance, I'm be through with this thing. I'm gonna get through this. I fight for all of us, not just the trans community, the gay community. I fight for heterosexual, black, gay, straight, trans. I want the black community, us to succeed. Period. I want us to be able to live this. Period. And as long as we stay divided and not come together and unify and lead with love and understanding, we will always be right here trying to figure out which way to go. I'm gonna leave it there.
I
I
think
just real quick, can I get 2 minutes? I mean, not 2
Go
minutes, just
ahead.
a few seconds. Going to something that Lynn stated, actually, there are some white transgendered women that are out there doing tampon commercials and have the nerve to say, well, I don't menstruate because I'm non-binary. So yeah, I can see where some offense and some more communication need to be had about that because it's not
Right.
that serious. And when
Right.
I listen, I can drop when I dropped my transmission in 2017, I was good to go. You can have it. It's not that serious. So I can understand how the heterosexual community could take that and go the wrong way. The other part that I was going to say is a lot of times that when people come off on defense, and this is again, no jab at nobody, but when people come off on defense, the first thing they do is go to what they have, what they achieve, to diminish another person's emotion, another person's feeling. That was one of the reasons why, Lisa, I asked certain people to be here, because we are representative not only in a financial level, an educational level. We have that. We, believe it or not, even though Black African Americans has the highest spending power, Black African LGBT has a higher spending power. So we are in the same financial frame, in the same entrepreneur space. We're in the same education space. If we have not exceeded those who look at our sexuality as a hindrance, because we're opposed not on that level. We have multiple degrees on this panel. So say, so when people come at me, they're quick to say, oh, well, I have this. I don't care. I have it too. You know, my bank account exceeds a lot of people, and I know that. My tax bracket, I no longer can contribute to Social Security because of my tax bracket. So I'm not concerned about nobody comparing themselves to me. Okay, comparing themselves to me in any type of offense just because they want to. That's how they want to handle the situation. To me, that is when offense happens.
Right.
But that's only done because it's felt again, as us being trans, bisexual, again, what have you. When it comes to the church and society, we are deemed as undesirable and immoral. How is it you, immoral being, can have an education, you can be respectful, you can be honorable, you can have dignity, pride, all of that, but yet you are an immoral being. Your whole existence goes against.
I don't agree.
Wait a minute.
The pastor.
Wait. Time out though. Time out. Because Dr. Elijah had his hand up for 10 minutes ago, and Conscious did too. So let Dr. Elijah talk, and then Conscious. Go ahead. Unmute is there. You go.
Can you unmute me?
You are unmuted. Go ahead.
Muted.
You back muted again.
You muted again.
Let me do it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much. This is an amazing conversation. I just wanted to thank everybody for those comments. They're amazing. I want to just, first of all, tell me that, hopefully it gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that it's not just the heterosexual community that offends the LGBTQIA community. Elephants in the room for me is the fact that trans individuals experience transphobia within the LGBTQIA plus community. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing that I wanted to say is, trans men experience trans male phobia within the transgender community. I am not one to watch a lot of TV. I don't own any TVs in my house, or I don't get on social media a lot. But one of the comments that I did see on someone's page that I followed it from a Black trans woman, and I'm just going to call it like it is because that's what I do. I tell the truth. From a Black trans woman said, I'm just waiting to hear from our Black trans men. Where are Black trans men at? And it was as if, there was an invitation to the conversation, but it wasn't an invitation to the conversation. And so I say that because oftentimes, just like you have been here, the trans male perspective, many of us are quiet and we silent, and I can't speak for the other guys, but we sit back and we watch and observe. I know that's what I do, but I want to call a spade and say that there is a lot of hatred that exists within the lesbian, gay, bisexual, intersex, and asexual and pansexual community against transgender individuals. When I came out, I lost every single one but one of my friends. And all of these friends were in the LGBT plus community and of the faith based community, which leads me to my next point. I wanted to say that yes, there are affirming spaces, there are affirming churches, and many of them are wonderful. But there has been more church hurt and damage done in these affirming spaces to the LGBTQI plus A plus individuals has to now be unlearned and healed, right? And then the last thing that I wanted to say about this whole conversation about womanhood and what it means to be a woman is that we have not talked about the term intersex, right? And so that's an individual who is born with both male and female anatomy. And so we don't know, unless you are an intersex person, you don't know what that person experiences as far as a period or as far as where their natural experiences, because they have both female and male organs. And so I think that, my biggest challenge is all of this resolves around the limiting and confined space of language. And if we just treat everyone like a human being, really for me, like a spirit having a human experience, then conversation really is a moot point. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Conscious?
Well, my first question is Dr. Nicholas single? Because yeah, that's that's that needs to be a thing. However, I wanted to go back
Oh,
to the last question. I wanted to go back.
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Joe shot.
Yes, I
I'm
am
listening
single
too.
and I identify as pansexual. I identify and polyamorous, and I am single right now.
So that
And if
means that
anybody want to know what those terms mean, you can inbox me.
what that means that I will be dumping my number in the private chat for you, doctor.
As you should.
I will.
Holla at me.
OLG.
I look
So I
forward
wanted
to
to,
it.
yes. So I wanted to go back to the previous conversation around womanhood, etc. So according to the National Institution of Child Health and Human Development, 5% of women in the United States actually do not experience a menstrual cycle. That's actually more biological women that don't experience a menstrual cycle than there are women who identify as trans in the country. So, and that's a large chunk of biological women who do not experience a menstrual cycle. So my question then is, what's the problem with the truth? Because a lot of people did take up It's Blessing Rose, who was the trans woman whose video went viral. They did get upset by it, but she told the truth. Not all women experience a menstrual cycle. That's fact. And when gatekeeping occurs, what it does is segregate other biological women as well who do not fit these tropes of what it means to be female and what it means to be woman. Not every Black woman has hips and has buttocks and has big breasts. There's women who suffer from alopecia, like a loss of hair was a part of their womanhood, was a part of their childhood. There are women who grow beards. That was a part of their woman experience. And so
Yeah.
I don't so I just have a question. What was the problem with Blessing Rose statements? Because if you actually compare her sentiments to Jess Hilarious, who came through on her womanist Dow energy and had to speak for all women, she spoke very monolithically.
Mm-hmm.
It's Blessing Rose actually had nuance and was actually being inclusive when she was breaking down and removing the gatekeeping from the conversation in order to include all females and all women who are all, once again, having a very multi-layered, multifaceted, unique experience to themselves, according to their health, according to their ethnicity, according to their nationality, according to their religion, according to their sexual orientation, comma,
Right.
is there. So is there actually a problem with what is Blessing Rose stated?
Let's
I
take
didn't
it a
watch.
step further.
I didn't watch the. I just seen like clips of it, so I don't even know
But let's take it a step. Let's take it a step further, Bree. Let's take it a step further. Okay, Blessing Rose said what she said, and I know that you didn't see it, but let's for argument's sake, for the sake of the conversation, let's talk about the clip that was chopped up, right?
Mhm.
And let's just deal with our community. Let's just deal with African American women because that's who that's the community that really was most offended in this situation, right? So
Mhm.
now, if we're gonna start going with statistics and we're going to start talking about womanhood and owning periods. Let's be clear, African American women are the most women who are on the highest list of having hysterectomies, fibroids. They really don't have periods altogether to begin with. So if we're going to start talking about that, let's start having about honest conversations about the reproductive health of African American women. Let's start right there. Let's start right there. Right there. We have a lot of African American women who do not menstruate on a regular basis altogether. So again, if we're going to start talking about gatekeeping and gatekeeping menstrual cycles and different things like that, let's start talking about our reproductive health as African American women as in its totality. So we have a lot of African American women already who do not menstruate because of reproductive issues that we have within our own community. Okay? So if we're going to start talking about that Black women are the gatekeepers of menstrual cycles, let's start talking about the fact that Black women are the gatekeepers of reproductive issues within our community. So this is a bigger issue than just gatekeeping, period.
I mean, I didn't.
Um,
What
So
was?
wait,
So
I'm
what did she
sorry.
say? I don't like
That's
what
what
was
I was
the?
going to say. Let me say what she said.
I don't even
Okay.
know
So
what she.
what she said in her previous video, and I know my brother Will had his hand up, but what the girl said in her previous video was that the reason why women cannot own periods is because we're leaving out those who have transitioned from female to male that still menstruate. We are leaving out those who identify as non-binary and still menstruate. So because you don't want to include them in the womanhood, you're excluding them in something that they naturally still have occurring. That is what was the original comment. So when Jess Hilarious heard it in that clip, it was, oh, y'all gatekeeping. No, she was literally saying, y'all are forgetting other people just
getting
because they don't wear skirts or dresses or panties, which some of them probably do, or wear panties. You're leaving them out of the fact that they still menstruate because they are not seen as a woman. They were not saying it as in, oh, were you a male transition into a female and you want to be in a tampon commercial like some of those white ones are. That really pissed me off when I saw that. But that's not what she was saying. Now, I don't agree with everything else you said, but that was the original comment. And they just excluded a whole group of people who still chose to keep, because we have transgender brothers that have birthed children. They still decided to keep their bottom half. What is that a problem to you? No reason, but you still excluded them because they identify as a man that just so happened to kept their uterus. And just like Amy stated, every woman don't want to keep theirs, me included. It was a health reason, but I didn't want it. I'm still a woman. I'm still a female, and I still identify as who I am. So we had that. So going back to the original thing, nobody listened to the full clip before Jess Hilarious took that one little point and tried to make it about herself. And then that's when T.S. Madison jumped in. That's when you look like a man, you don't look, all of that got involved. And that was when it went too far.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch the because I didn't understand. I didn't know if she was responding to somebody or what was she saying that for a reason. Like I didn't know what was happening.
So it sounds like Jess responded to the cut up
No,
clip.
what
mhm.
the other young lady was saying.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like I didn't know if the other young lady was like I didn't know if she was like responding to somebody or she like I didn't
Yeah.
know what was happening. I just seen a little bit of it.
I think the first young lady was just, I think she was just doing a live. I think something happened to her and she was saying it. I will say that I think it's unfair to equate womanhood to those things, such as birthing and periods, because of the same facts that Conscious said, and I think Dr. Nicholas said it too, that all women don't have a menstruation, all women can't give birth, all women don't have a womb. So to say that the way that Just Hilarious said it when she responded made it seem like that. I think one of her words was that we are the gatekeepers, honey. We bleed, we give birth, and it's like that doesn't equate to womanhood. And also the piggyback off that, something you all said, you all were talking about in you all's last lap, because I watched the last episode of this before today's, and you all were saying saying things like full transition, and if you're fully trans, if you haven't had top or bottom surgery or whatnot. And again, that doesn't equate how trans you are, what parts of your body you did or did not change. To be honest with you, you should be honest with you, you shouldn't really care. I've really lived my life more so like if it's not feeding, financing, or freaking me, I don't care. And I would tell my brothers were the most homophobic people and transphobic people in my family. And my whole thing was, well, why do you care who I spend my intimate moments with? Because that's literally the only thing that all of this kind of equate. I identify as male. I am attracted to women. I'm attracted to cisgendered women. That's what I've dated my entire life. So it was like you wouldn't care if my brother was boning another woman. You wouldn't care what it was like you wouldn't care about any of that. But I think I also say that I've always felt I was male. I've felt it since my childhood. But I feel like it was a blessing in my family that I was not born male, because then I would have been socialized male. And with that, it would have gave me a different mind frame at the age that I am now, where I see a lot of my, especially African-American brothers at my age, I'm 37, struggling through life because of the way that they were socialized and the things that they experienced when they were younger as boys. But on the flip side of that, growing up female, I might have experienced a lot of the things that women experience, but it didn't affect me the same. It wasn't until I started dating my current girlfriend that I started realizing that things like you worrying about if you had a period or not, or colorism between girls, like these things really affected you all mentally growing up. I experienced it, but I didn't care because it was like, okay, so what? It didn't make sense to me, but I was a boy. So
it makes sense.
But I think another piece of that Just Hilarious piece was her saying that trans women were delusional and crazy.
Yes,
that was the most
also
offensive piece.
It was the most,
and saying that they needed to be put in straitjackets.
She said the difference between you all and a crazy person, I think, is that you all aren't in a straitjacket. I believe that's how she said it.
That to me was the most offensive piece of her. There is nothing delusional, crazy, or anything about trans people. And for her to even fix her lips to say that was the most disrespectful part of her video in its totality. Right. Now you can have your opinions and how you feel, and she has a right to be validated in her feelings. I'm not taking away from how she felt, although I feel that her anger was misplaced. I feel that she was angry about a host of other things outside of that whole gatekeeping period thing. Yeah. But I think that her choice of words, she could have picked a better way to articulate herself. I am assuming that she is a smart woman, and she could have chosen her words way better on the platform that she sits on.
I think she was triggered because Jess is always being told that she's masculine and manly, or is she a man or something like that. And what T.S. Madison said when it first started, T.S. Madison's status said something like, I hope that you all see how misgendering hurts and transphobia hurts even the cisgender community, because at being thought of that you were a trans woman just was in essence you were misgendered. So it affected you as well, even though you feel like you're not a part of our community. But that even that goes back into that if we were more accepting of people, this wouldn't be an issue. You wouldn't have somebody trying to sneak in your DM to ask
Right.
if you were.
Right.
Jess is unhinged at times, and
That's that
her
Baltimore.
mouth. She's from Baltimore. How they say
Yeah,
their
from what I
mouth
see,
is
it was a lot.
reckless,
That's
Yeah.
that
and
Maryland.
I just I cringe sometimes when she's just talking about just things in general because her tone and she just rough, and I don't know why.
And then she put
But
up a picture of her being a stud to try to smooth it over.
but Jess
Listen,
don't look like a man to me. She don't look like a man. I mean,
She got a
I
strong
think it's how,
jawline. That's
I think
all.
how I think it's how she presents herself. Like because I did see like the clip from what T.S. Madison was saying. Like I told you, I watched it, and she was saying how she, she is the way that she presents herself, the way that she has conversations. She's not a soft girl. So even with her interview saying that she had, like somebody in the comments said she has been misgendered, that she did say that. So a lot of that was probably where that came from. What she said was a lot. That's why I didn't understand why she was so mad by what the clip that I seen. I didn't understand why she was so it wasn't connecting to me. It didn't make sense.
but
I mean, I guess
we haven't heard from Britt, and I want to hear from you.
I didn't watch the video.
No, not on this. What you wanted
Oh,
to talk
What's
about?
up, bro?
oh, Justin, what's up? How you doing? I don't really have much to say for Bree. I think you should continue to talk to your friend. Um, love is uncomfortable, and you just got to continue to show up. Honestly, showing up defensively. I talked about that today with my therapist. So, um, yeah, it's uncomfortable. Just continue to show that love, and eventually, he will be receptive to it. That's all I got to add. Because
I'm not. I
I'm a
don't.
loving nigga.
Oh, I don't think I'm defensive. I
No,
just.
no, no. I mean
You talking
him.
about your
Him.
Oh,
Him
yeah.
responding to you defensively.
Oh,
you
yeah.
talking about your
Yeah.
But
Siobhan in the comment section has said it perfectly. Projecting issues she has with cis hetero black men onto trans women. But what's interesting about even like the gatekeeping of femininity, like even the femininity is informed by patriarchy, it's informed by men. And transphobia does impact all women because the reality is there should be no shame about having your father's features because you literally marinated in the DNA of both your mother and your father. Like as a man, when people see me, they're like, you look just like your mother. And that should be the case. I literally came from female anatomy, DNA. Obviously, that was collaborated with by my father, etc. So this idea that to be a woman, it has to show up in this hypersexual, voluptuous, or in these like social constructs of beauty that entraps all like that does none of us a service. It does all
right.
of us a disservice. It does a disservice to men who have wide hips and a big booty, who oftentimes get bullied and teased for their feminine features. It absolutely harasses and mutates the self-esteem of women like Jess Hilarious, who may have features from her father, etc. And there should be no shame about that. I think that one of the ugliest manifestations of colorism colluding with transphobia was Blue Ivy, and how Blue Ivy got dragged the first 3 years of her life for having the nerve to look like her father. Like she had the audacity to actually look like Jay-Z, and this little girl got ripped into shreds and roasted down to the ground. And then all the other anti-black sentiments within that about her hair being unkept and it being nappy and etc. And so yeah, when we're talking about the black community, unfortunately, there are so many scathing effects of white supremacy that just lay in the underbelly of the black community that we have not fully confronted and we have not fully healed. And the entirety of the black community needs a lot of self-love.
Yeah.
I think that just goes back to this whole even just hilarious all that. And when you're not operating out of a space of like healing, you're going to act like that. And so I think if we can all just try to figure out, man, like what am I adding to the world? And even like, because I think I can go back to even my personal story when I lived in shame, I was always offended. I was offended by everything everybody got to say. And everything is not a personal jab. But sometimes it's just like, oh, somebody's saying this and they don't understand. Let me explain it to them. But I think if we take everything personal, you can't explain something when you feel like everything's a personal jab. Like everything is just, it may sound like a jab. It may sound like shade. It may sound, but it's not always that. And I think if people could operate from man, like I'm trying to heal, I'm trying to be the best me, when something like that, when somebody says something that's out of pocket or out of line, if my response is based off, I want to be a person that is healing the world and helping people heal, my response is going to be based out of that. But if my response is based out of, okay, so they offended me, so let me tell them about themselves, it's going to always be this mess. And I think that that's the whole problem with the world in general. Like if trans, all, it's just like a lack of understanding. If we could just all sit there and try to understand, the world will be a better place.
But it's going to take it's going to take transparency, because the issue is we as a Black community, a lot of that unity really is trauma bonding. The Black community has trauma bonding. You have a lot of hurt people stacked on top of hurt people, stacked on top of hurt people, stacked on top of hurt people. And so everybody is having this trauma response to each other, because everybody in all actuality is in a fragile state and has been, because of all of the systemic issues that impact us, that then turn into Black on Black everything. So having conversations around mental health, the collective mental health of the Black community, and really just tackling these issues of white supremacy. I think that we as a melanated people are in one of the most effed up positions that anyone can be in, because we are attempting to heal in a place that keeps intentionally trying to make us sick. And that's going to take a level of self-awareness and self-assertion that I think is underestimated in this space of being Black in America, etc. I think we really don't realize how much self-assertion is going to be required in us to uproot white supremacy and all of its evil birth children.
But to me, I just always feel like, and I'm gonna be quiet, I feel like it just takes one person. I've been in therapy for 7 years, and I feel like even when I came out to my parents, because I had been in therapy for 7 years, like I was able to help them on their journey of trying to figure out what I had going on. So when they would say certain things, because my parents are super churchy, that's all we know, when I wasn't so offended and I could listen and explain, things got better. So I think if it just takes one person. So like, yeah, it could be like the larger part of the Black community needs a lot of help. But like if us as individuals just did the work, then it's going to help the next generation and the next generation. It's not a fast work. It's not going to be overnight. It's slow. It's a crockpot journey.
Right. Yeah. And with that being said, thank you all so
much. Wait a minute,
much.
Elisa. We never heard from Renee. We never heard from our lady at the bottom. Or did we?
Right. She's been sitting here so pretty. Could you give us some words, please?
I just been taking everything in, because the way I look at it is with the Just Hilarious thing, I honestly didn't look at it in no type of way. I'm like, hey, it doesn't reflect on me. She wasn't talking to me. Obviously, she won't talk to me because she don't know me. I live my life the way I live my life. I walk through the streets I'm more worried about walking the streets every day as a passable trans woman and, with the target on my back. I'm not worried about what she have to say, because at the end of the day, she's not walking in the shoes I'm walking in. She has their privilege to be able to walk around freely and be the biological woman that she was born to be, and give birth and have menstrual cycles and all of that. Me, I have to stay focused on, for one, being Black, for two, being a Black trans woman, three, being a passable trans woman, with a target on my back. 4, I go into spaces and I can be comfortable, but at the same time, I can go into a space and I can be around someone that probably, may know me or may not know me, but then I still have to look around, on my shoulders and everything, like, okay, like what if she probably know, or what if he probably know, and they probably come at me and try to attack me for no reason. And at the same time, I'm not trying to talk, like when I'm at the bars and at the clubs and stuff, when I'm going with my homegirls, which are biological women, the women I deal with, the women I hang out with are biological women. So when we go and hang out, when guys try to walk up to me and talk to me, my thing is I don't try to talk to them. You know what I mean? They might try to talk to me, of course, but if I'm not trying to talk to you, then it's nothing I have to tell you. My business is my business. It's nothing I have to tell you. So I just stay focused on just living my life for me, and I don't worry about what people like Just Hilarious have to say, because at the end of the day, she don't know me and she don't walk in my shoes. I walk in, I can never feel her shoes. Her being a biological woman, I never could feel her shoes. So that's all I have to say about that.
You said a term that I never heard. You said passable.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Passable trans woman.
Being able to walk out in society and be looked at as who you are, and people don't have to question you and be like, hey, is she? I don't know. Is she? It's like, they questionable, like, okay, like I think she is. Or they look at you and be like, I know for sure she is, but when they can look at you and be like, you got the voice, you have the body, you just have the natural demeanor.
You right.
I can't tell. So just looking at, okay, well, hey, she's passive. I can't tell. It is what it is. And it's not my job to tell you unless I'm trying to date you. You know what I mean? It's not my job to tell you. It's not my fault you want to talk to me or you find me attractive. It's not my fault. But it's my place come in with where it's my place to tell you is when I talk back to you and we engage in conversation, and I'd be like, hey, before this going further, I want you to know this is what it is.
Is that the first conversation, or is that like the second conversation, or the third?
For me, if you give me your number on the streets, I'm gonna give you my number, or you gonna give me your number. I'm attracted to you.
It could be the first. It could be the third or 10th conversation.
It can be, but at the same time, I feel like, if I give you my number, which 9 times 10 I usually don't. If I do, when we have the first conversation, just so we can nip it in the bud. This is what's going on with me. I mean, I'm appreciative that you was attracted to me and that you wanted to talk to me. And you thought that what you thought, but this is what it is. So
got you.
Because
even as
as well.
Right. And I get that, because even as a woman, I know if I'm really trying to talk to somebody or not, or if I'm just, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
So you're saying you don't tell them unless you're really trying to get in a relationship with them, that's
the thing. Even just talking to them on the phone before we even get to that point, I'm gonna let you know, because I'm not gonna waste my time. I don't have time. I don't have the time to waste. Still, I'm talking on the phone with you every day, knowing that you only want sex in the beginning anyway, but I don't have the time to entertain you. Instead, I'm just going to tell you, hey, this is what it is. Thank you for giving your number. Thank you for being attracted to me. I'm not trying to waste your time. I don't want you to waste mine, because I don't have the time for you to waste with you. So this is what it is. Either you accept it, you don't. If you say you do, hey, cool. But at the end of the day, even if you say you accept it, it's not a sex thing for me, because I'm not an experience. I'm not a sex object or nothing like that. So if you think it's about sex, it's not going to happen regardless. So,
Is it just about sex?
It's the same thing that women go through. It's about sex as well.
Yeah, usually it's about sex.
How does that make you? But I'm saying,
how does that make you feel?
That's what I'm about to say, because I done woke up now. I got my second wind. How does that make you feel? I know how it makes me feel, because it happens to me too.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes us all feel probably as a piece of meat.
Right.
And a science experiment.
As a piece of meat. I mean,
most
men nowadays, think about this here. The music we listen to nowadays are very hypersexual.
Right.
It's all about how can we have sex, when can we have sex, where can we have it, and how can we do it. All the music is about that today. So majority of the men nowadays are very visual.
Yeah.
So when they see you nowadays, all they want to do is fuck. What's your name? Can I get with you? Can I come chill tonight? You know what I'm saying? It's all that. So it makes most women, cisgender and trans women alike, feel like a piece of meat, and all you want is sex. Period.
So is it?
And the passability and being passable is being able to navigate through life undetected as a trans woman.
Right.
Or
Right.
have been assigned male at birth. That's all it is.
So has it ever been a time that you saw somebody that you like, or is it always somebody have to ask you? Are you the one that do the asking?
No, I don't do
Well,
that.
for
Nothing.
me,
I don't do nothing.
You don't do the asking.
No, I don't do that. Mm-mm. I mean, if you're attracted to me, you approach me.
I don't do the
But
asking
it's
either.
not my
For me,
place to approach you.
That's like an
always tell
old
a man off
holiness
the top
woman.
that I'm trans. Depends on what's going on.
Hey, you gonna chase me?
Were you? Really?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, I don't ask. You ask me.
Yeah,
You
I don't have.
find
I should
me.
not ask you. No, because I feel like most guys, if they see something they like and and they're attracted to it, immediately they're gonna approach it. They're not gonna wait somebody else try to talk to you and be like, no, I want you myself. Let me try to talk to you because I'm looking at you like, okay, you nice looking, but at the same time, it's not my place to talk to especially being who I am, to approach you because the first thing you're gonna say is, oh, hey, you tricked me, because I'm thinking that you, but then you try to walk up to me and talk to me. That's why I don't. You know what I mean?
So as,
baby, you can tell them.
Wait. So as a trans man,
Janae,
because we
you
don't
can
hear
tell
from y'all.
you can tell these guys that you're trans, and they still kill you. There are many trans women that have been murdered in this country recently, the last few years. All these guys knew that they were trans women and still killed them. But yet they put out the narrative, oh, I didn't know she was trans. She didn't tell me she was trans. But this be the gag right here. Oh, but we all can tell what a man looks like. We all can tell, that's a man over there dressing as a woman. But yet you go home and have sex with her, but you know what she was. Mm-hmm. You tell folks. I didn't know that was a trans woman, but yes, you could tell every trans woman is a man. That's the narrative that they give out.
I got.
You know what I'm saying?
I need that.
Once they find out,
Lynn, you long-winded like Beyonce.
I'm listening.
Listen, her conference is long. Listen, I want to hear from the trans men, because when you ask somebody, how do you do that? Is it really, is it difficult?
I'm gonna be honest, like for me as a stud, I was a little forward kind of too. And I always had women that drawed into me as well. So it wasn't never hard. I just had to start paying more attention. I think honestly, trans men kind of winning right now only because we have more emotional intelligence than biological men. So a lot of y'all just come looking for us. We ain't got to go look for you.
I believe that. I can
Now,
tell
I ain't
by the
gonna lie,
way
my brother's pimp game is on point.
I
Listen.
can tell by the way he's talking. He got that swag now.
Listen,
he's winning right now.
he's always been on point.
I know how you feel, baby.
But seriously, I do find that a lot of women, trans women and biological women alike, are way more open to dating a trans man. Now, sadly, it works a little better if we can pass a little better, if we passable. But us having a bit more emotional intelligence than biological men kind of gives us that little up over men. And then on top of that, we got our parts, and then we got extra parts, and then we can do extra stuff, and we can add like extra long. So we kind of win on that. And then when it comes to that, oh, you thought, oh, you tricked me. No, I didn't, baby. I didn't trick you.
Yes, that's Chicago right now.
And if you feel like something, like I'm a advocate for self-defense, and I'm a carrier. So if you think you're gonna try something, I want to see you try it.
No, I have a question though, because it seems, and maybe I don't know. It seems like there are more trans women who are getting killed than trans men. But why is that? Like, what is? I don't
stupid. Men are barbaric.
They kill it to hide.
why is that? Like,
They're
what?
scared they're gonna get caught, and
That-
they
Yes.
trying to hide. And
You hide
all
from
this.
yourself. You hide from the
they
world.
are.
You be
It's a higher
surprised how
drive.
you'll be
The
surprised
girls
how
that
much
hide who they
denial will
are.
make you go. How far denial will make you go. Fear and
Yes.
denial will make you do some extreme things.
Things.
Get
And
to it, baby.
men, they get scared. You get scared of what people are going to say about you. Too worried about what everybody going to say about you. You don't know what to say about yourself because you don't know what you're feeling, or you've never dealt with it. Like Bree, in your case, like I've never dealt with that. If you would have just up all of a sudden and start having feelings for a female, you would be a bit like, oh, wait, like you need a minute. And a lot of men, emotional intelligence, socialization, it messes them up. So you get scared. The first thing you think to do, you don't think to talk. You think aggression. You think violence. You think that a lot of men think that's the best way to deal with everything. Like when it all boiled down, if I hit you or kill you or beat you, like I did the right thing. I did what I was supposed to do.
But it seems like
Is it affection when they kick you out?
it seems like it seems like it's more accepted if it's, you know, a trans woman, or, you know, like it just seems like it's
always
people to accept in society.
always has been to where lesbians
Yeah,
are
like
more.
it seems like it's more accepted in. I don't understand.
You know, I think it's also what we dealing with too. If trans men who decide to deal with women, we dealing with a sex who again has a bit more emotional intelligence and different type of socialization than what men have to deal with. Even if you're a trans man and decide that you want to still date men, you're usually dating gay men who are already versed in dating other men.
Mm-hmm.
You date a woman, she's versed.
Women,
oh, go ahead, man.
A lot of people forget. A lot of these men are sexual visual creatures, majority of them. A lot of these men holler, they didn't know, but they people fail to realize that these men have seeked these trans women out.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't like they ran across them randomly. These men go out here, seek the girls out because they have a desire for them, a want for them. The girls are like a bag of Lay's potato chips. They can't eat just one. They got to have more than one. And the gag is, they seek you out. They know it's forbidden. They're forbidden fruit. They seek you out. Once they have you, they got to make sure that no one knows. They have the girl. They get scared. Like I said, they get scared in their feelings, their emotions. Now they don't know what to do. So now the girl is in danger. They kill her. The first thing come out, oh, I didn't know she was trans. Nobody told me. She didn't tell me nothing. But the thing is left out the fact that he seeked her out. He knew the whole time she was trans.
And
but yet
she wasn't the first one.
The straight community buys that lie. They buy that each and every time because you know why? The girl is not here to say, you know something, he knew I was trans before he killed me. There's no one he knew, so the lies fly. These men know what they want, they know what they like, but yet fear, the fear of society being rejected, the fear of the family coming out and knowing, the fear they may lose their job, it's the fear. So my thing is, that's the motivation. So you seek it out, but yet your fear is greater than anything else. So now you have to kill them to keep the secret. Not realizing once you kill them, the secret's out, everyone knows. Right. But in that moment, they're so entrenched in that fear and terrified, they kill the girl. That's what trans men don't go through that. We go through that.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that trans men don't experience that because trans men have been murdered, and you know.
I don't think they experience on the same level as we do.
Well, I don't want to like compare, you know, the levels per se, but I also want to dig into the fact that we have to look at the economic stability piece of this and the positions that people are in when these things happen. Trans individuals have the highest unemployment rate. Trans individuals get paid much less money. Cisgender individuals make 32% more money than trans individuals. And so that results in different types of work, right? People like T.S. Madison and many other celebrities, trans female celebrities, have been very vocal about doing sex work. And so we can't just look at it. Yes, we have to inform individuals. Yes, we have to educate individuals, but we also have to get to the White House. We have to lobby. We have to get on the congressional level so that we can address the economic stability piece so that trans individuals are adequately employed. So if you desire to do sex work, because sex work, let me be clear, is a business. That's an entrepreneurial business. And I'm not putting that down. But many people result or turn to sex work because they have no other options. And then they thereby become the most vulnerable population. And so other people, predators, have access to them. So there are layers to this. And I don't think that we ever address those underlying layers of why are people in these vulnerable positions, why are we not gainfully employed? And that, you know, that is a conversation that has to happen at a level that is much larger than us. And obviously that goes back to voting and all of that stuff.
Yes.
But I just think that that's a piece of the conversation. I love that question, Bree, but that's a piece of the conversation that we don't talk about enough.
This is great. Guys, women, y'all. We have to have a part 2.
Oh yeah, we do.
We have to have a part 2 because it is 2 hours long, and you know the human attention span is not 2 hours long. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this up. I see somebody that wants to be on next time, intersex. Next time when we have the panel, I'll send it to you. We have to have a part 2, and we have to get more. You guys have blown me away. I mean, from the beginning to the end, I'm like, wow, I have learned.
But did we educate?
Yes, you did, because
and it's more than I thought it was, though. It's more than what I.
It always is.
No, seriously, it's more to it than just this and not calling out this and that, but it's totally, it's not as simple as I really thought it was.
Right.
You know, and that's why I said I wanted to have this conversation, because I obviously everybody don't know. Yeah, for sure.
I got a question for you, Lisa. But before I get to your question, I wanted to get Dr. Nicholas' email.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Do your thing, 21, do your thing.
Get it. So I don't want to give out my email to everybody. So I will tell you that my Instagram is Dr. Elijah Nicholas. DM me and I will shoot you my email address and my phone number.
Oh, that came with a plus.
Okay.
What is going
Thank you,
on
doctor.
here?
You're welcome.
Mind your business, Lisa. Mind your business.
Oh my God.
She pulled out the fan on that one. Country. She pulled out the fan. She got hot.
But speaking of your business, Lisa, my question before we wrap up would be, I know that this topic came very, very, very close to home in your own personal life.
I knew you was gonna ask me that. You such a messy Jesse. I mean, you so messy, Vicky.
I was listening. I thought somebody in the comments was gonna ask. I was waiting
because they already know the answer. What you got?
Well, so I guess now that you say this conversation has been impactful, it's been informative, it's been interesting. So what does that look like for you as a mother, and having, like, how does that now inform you as a mom? Like, what happens in your mindset in your psychology?
I have I need to have more discussions like this before I engage, because I have a daughter that doesn't really know what she identifies as. But she likes both.
Okay.
And so at first that was it's a lot, but I'm gonna be transparent. So before, I was married to a female. Okay, when I got divorced from my, look at her face. before
I'm
before
sorry, that
no
was
no
a
no
little. It took me
no no
back a
no.
minute.
But I am heterosexual. But I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. I was a female that was in a everybody know who my former husband was, Larry Reed. We were together since I was young, 18 years old. We got married. So we was married for like 18 years. But I completely lost myself in the marriage because we were in the church and I was a first lady. All these things, I lost myself. I was not myself. And so there was a lot of things going on in my life at the time. And it was time for me to retire from the military. So there's another transition that happening. So it's like, and then we stopped traditional pastoring. So we was pastoring online. So who I was identifying as a first lady, it felt like it was taken from me. So I'm like, who am I? Like, I don't even know who I am anymore, So, and me and Reed had a conversation, but before that, this a female that I met at the Beyonce concert.
Oh my God, not Bay.
That's why I said she's my ex pastor. She's not my pastor no more because she led me astray. Now, so I was there, and me and the female, we became friends. And in the midst of us becoming friends, I told her things I haven't told anybody. We were just talking like girlfriends, girl talking. Then one day she told me some things that was going on in her marriage. I was like, hey, you really, you should not be with this nigga because he's doing this or whatever. But the guy was my friend first. So I'm talking to her and she said, it's a lot. And so she divorced. She
They
was
find that
heterosexual
MO and
too.
get in there.
She divorced her husband. I was still married. So me and and then and then I told her, I was like, well, I would never leave Reed. Like, of course, never. And so, but she was like, well, he don't treat you right, and he don't, you need somebody that will listen to you and all. So it became a emotional thing for me, right? Not saying that the things that she was saying was not true, but because I was getting so much attention from her, I fell for her. And that's how I looked at it. I guess I was pansexual. I guess I fell for her. I wasn't looking at her
No, you got
gender.
a lesbian that saw weakness and they got in there. That's what we do.
Well, you can't say no. I
She
can't
wasn't a
say that she
lesbian
was a
first.
lesbian because
She
she
wasn't a
was
lesbian
married
at
to a.
first.
She was a heterosexual. She was married. She had
Well,
three
she was a
kids.
secret lesbian. That don't wait. Now,
Oh, well,
My
y'all
wife
both
got
I
five
pansexual.
wasn't.
kids. And
I
that don't
wasn't.
my
mean
I
wife
that.
got
wasn't.
5 kids.
I
Oh,
wasn't
both
a
of y'all could
secret.
have been pansexual then.
That's
So
what
you,
I'm
Yeah.
saying. So we were, and so it was like
Yeah.
I never had anybody at that moment. Yeah, y'all met my ex. So he's not emotional like that.
he's an Aquarius.
So to get to because I got into like the emotional and somebody that supported me emotionally, I really fell for her. And so, and I kept telling her, I said, but I like dick. Now,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
and I
didn't
will
mean to laugh
always
like that.
tell her that. I'll be like, look, I ain't, I whatever. And so her thing
You could have
was,
won that one.
but her thing was, her
Will.
thing was, I hear what you're saying, but I
But
I want you. And so I was
Mm.
like, what? So
She was putting that magic on your
I
ass,
was like, what? And she from South Carolina too, so she might have been working something on me. And
baby.
so I was like,
Oh my
what?
God.
And
Y'all
so
crazy.
one thing led to the next. And so she was saying that because I always said, I like men or whatever, she was like, well, we need to get married so you won't cheat on me. And so I
oh,
got married. right?
what cheating accomplished.
And let me tell you what happened.
What
That
happened?
woman cheated on me
Cheated
with
on
a
you.
man.
But she said, so you won't cheat on her. Was
Why
And
so she
I
won't
like
cheat?
to lost my everlasting mind.
So
You
she
almost
turned
called her
I
the B
gave
word.
up.
Turned you
I
every
gave up.
which way and then went back the other way.
I
That's
Oh,
what she
gave
very
did.
sad.
up
That's what she did.
team for her. I was faithful.
That's right. You be faithful.
She
You
trapped
be
you.
faithful. All
And
good things
so
will come to you.
so what happened was, so I, after that, I was like, okay, that was an experience. That was a toxic experience for me. And so, but my children were with me during that time.
Mm.
So I cannot say that. I can't look at my daughter and be like, you can't be a lesbian. She'll be like, Mama, you was married.
that part?
So that's very hypocritical. So I just try to get my children to understand that stop trying to be so much in the sexuality part. Be who you are, show up who you are. Let that go in the forefront first, and then all the other stuff it'll fall in line. Because I feel like as kids, you shouldn't even be worried about that. Like, what
How old are you?
Yeah. You
now
was reading
she's
them right.
16, but before, I'm talking about way before she was doing this.
Well, I've been doing the Watusi for a long time, and
You
I
built
can't
different,
say.
Will. You built
I mean,
different.
Chicago is built different, but every child is different. And again, we go back into
I
intelligence,
blame
emotional
Disney
intelligence,
Channel
and
because all they did was boyfriend, girlfriend, you down, up and down on that channel. And I think that's what happened to my kids.
as long as you support it and also teach your kids about safe sex, like because you can't. You can't. I talked to one of my ex-wife's son recently. He just turned 18. And the young man, me and him was talking. I'm like, you doing the do now. You wrapping it up, woo woo. And I went into dental dam. He like, for what? Oh, wait, baby. We gotta talk because you don't want to end up with herpes because you out here experimenting and you don't know who they experimenting with. I can't stop you from doing nothing, but what I can do is educate you to do it safely, so that you don't go into something with something that you ain't go into it with. Don't come out. I always tell people, don't come out of that without something you ain't go into it with.
And I want to add something to what Will is saying. We definitely have to talk to young people about sexuality. We have to talk to them about love, because for one, puberty forces the human body to have to deal with sexuality. It forces that against one's will. But even though sexuality gets branded as having to do with sex, we're really talking about people's love language. Like, to be a hetero, pan, bi, etc. We're talking about also a love dynamic here, and that can start way before puberty ever hits, because we're talking about something that's innate to human nature, to bond with someone else. Like, there are so many people who have married their childhood loves, who been boyfriend and girlfriend since they've been 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. And so we do have to elevate beyond this kind of fanciful thinking when it comes to young people thinking that there's not room for that, or they shouldn't have the capacity to engage and have to deal with emotions and human bond and all of that dynamic, when that's not really it's not an age-centered phenomenon. It's just a phenomenon that can manifest because that's just what the human nature it has the capacity for. So I don't think you should run away from it at all. But I do want to ask you, what do you like when you sit in? Yes, I was a part-time lesbian. Yes,
not a part-time lesbian. You wrong for that.
Now look, I'm offended.
I love
don't do me.
Not a part-time lesbian.
Everybody. So then, when you sit down, like in the base of your feelings,
yes,
what is there? Like, could it be due to just your upbringing and just the way you were raised and the ideology behind, just don't do that and go to hell?
So you trying to ask me, am I still a lesbian?
No,
in a roundabout way?
no, I know. No, I know
you date a woman again.
Would I date it? No, I would not.
No, I'm asking you, like, when it comes to
what?
your daughter, like, have you thought about
my daughter?
Yeah, like, What's the
Now
resistance?
the it's no resistance. I
Mhm.
know my daughter. My daughter is not whole enough to be thinking about a relationship. My daughter has fragments that need to be put back together. And that is what I'm trying
But that ain't
to.
never stopped any of us from desiring relationships
But
with
I
people
don't
who
they
love
don't
queer people.
no, I don't want that for my child because I can see that Zoe is the type person when she likes somebody, it's like this.
Yes.
And that's not healthy.
Mhm.
But once she learns who she is and what she brings to the table, it's not going to be that way. So I'm trying to cultivate her now. You know, we ride to school every day now together. So all of those rides is my time for me to redeem from where I was being oblivious to what was because I was in bliss, so to speak, when I was in Florida instead of really, and I checked out because my mom died during that time too. So it was a lot going on.
Mhm.
And so Zoe was neglected during that time. And I didn't know it. I thought Zoe was fine. But now I'm looking at Zoe and I'm like, okay, there are serious things that is going on with her that I need to address. And that's why it don't have anything with her being a lesbian, don't have
Okay, cuz I
anything
was
with
gonna
her.
ask that. Okay.
No, it don't have anything with her being trans. It don't have anything about that.
Mhm.
It has everything to do with she's trying to grasp what it is, but it's not even in that. She needs healing from
So
a
you
lot of
are
hurt.
opposed to her dating, period. Like you just don't even want
Period.
her to
It
be
don't matter who it
occupied
is.
with. So what if she
Right.
did though? Like what if she fall in love with a boy and she's in love? Are you not going to support that relationship? Because
Because it's not it's not because of what I went through.
mhm.
I don't want her to go through that. And I
I
tell
don't
her
think it's
that.
a need to support it. It's a need to guide her through it, is what you're
Right, that's
trying
what
to
I'm doing.
say.
I'm
It's
guiding
not
her
that she's
through
not
it.
going, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that she's not going to support her, whoever she falls in love with. She's navigating her daughter through emotions that she as a mother has
Right.
identified that is going to cause her to derail because we know what it feels like to be into that space. And as
Right.
her mother, she's just literally guiding her through. And I would do the same thing for my child. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm a lesbian, but if my daughter decides to marry a boy, I'm gonna have to pay for that wedding. And it is so perfectly okay. But in the same sense, like Lisa, if I see some defects that emotionally we have to work on as her parent, I'm going to make sure she's whole so that whether she get with a boy, dog, cat, or girl, that she is okay. So it's not support. It's let me
Right.
guide you through this because I want your emotions to be whole,
Because Zoe
which is
had,
what we suffer
yeah,
from.
Zoe has rage. She'll end up in jail.
She got it from her mama.
I don't have rage. I do not have rage.
We're
I'm the
not gonna
most.
talk. We not gonna talk about that exclusive episode of season 2 of Reading Things My Way.
I
Wow.
don't
He
have
brought that
rage.
up.
What rage did I have on that?
I'm just gonna tell everybody go watch season 2, child.
Go watch it for the ratings so I can get my check.
But how realistic is it? Like, no, because I do understand what you're saying. Like, I got
Because
nieces
I
and
wish
nephews.
my mama would have did it to me. I
Yeah,
wish
I
my
got nieces and
parents would have
nephews
did
Break
that,
generational curses. That's how you do it.
and I
it.
understand
Yeah.
that because I
Exactly.
got nieces and nephews
But
right now that I'm raising, and I'm on their ass, and I be in they ish. But also, is it unrealistic to expect people to not pursue relationships until they have become like whole?
It is unrealistic, but I need to see at least two things that is progressing in the right direction. At least two. I'm not saying you gotta be Mother Mary of Jesus. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you at the point where Zoe is right now, she's too fragile to be in any relationship. She needs to get that together
Yeah,
first. And we've talked about it and she agrees that she at first she thought what you thought that I just wasn't, but when I explained to her what it was, that she's like, Mom, you're right,
yeah,
just let me focus on whatever, because she noticed a pattern, and that's where a lot of her anger comes from, is because she's trying to, you know you can't balance all of that, not at that age, you can't balance all of that and then and then you're already, socially awkward. Now it's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
You
But
can't do
shout
that.
out to you, Lisa, for just being
Yeah.
an awesome mom and just
Mhm.
even
Mm.
listening and not losing your
Absolutely.
cool
Right.
and
Right.
just being present, because honestly, raising kids nowadays is not the easiest thing to do,
Mm-mm.
especially with them. Kids nowadays are way different than what we grew up. They're
A
willing
lot.
to take the risks that we just knew not to take. They doing
Mm-hmm.
all the things and they want to do it now. But at least, you have that
Hmm.
dialogue and that ability to have those types of conversations.
Right. And she trusts
And
me, so that's good.
good. That's
Yeah.
the best
Mhm.
thing, because at least you know that she's able to come and have the conversation
Yeah.
with you. Because I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I wasn't running home to tell my mama nothing.
I was gonna say the same
Hello.
thing.
We
Hello.
wasn't
But
allowed to
my
talk.
kids,
We didn't
Yeah.
have feelings.
exactly. But my kids run home and tell me everything, and some of the stuff I don't want to hear. Like I'm like, okay, whoo, TMI. Like some I don't want to know. Like keep it to yourself. I find out the hard way. Like, whoo, Jesus be offended. But I'm grateful that that they're able to come and talk to me, and it seems that that's a relationship you have with your daughter. So, honey,
Yes.
that's a blessing. That is a
Yes, it is.
huge,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
blessing
See that, Conscious?
nowadays.
No, I agree.
Anyway,
I just had questions. No, I think it is dope because I'm a mama's boy, and everything that you have with your kids is everything I wanted with
Oh,
my
I
mother.
always
I
wanted a
never,
son. I
yeah,
never got
I
it.
never got to have that like open freeway, and a
Yeah.
lot of us did not have like conscious parents who really kind of paid attention to our humanity and
Mhm.
provided space for there to be transparency and there to be dialogue and information and that safety that trust creates. So yeah, shout outs to you for cultivating
yeah.
that space
Thank
with your daughter. That's
you.
amazing.
I had parents that had no boundaries. Actually, we were a very transparent family. I was blessed to have a family who was very accepting
Oh,
of
that's
me and my
good.
lifestyle. I was the refuge house when the kids got kicked out.
Mm.
So my little sister actually is the one that said it. She said, "Do you realize my therapist told me that our family have no boundaries." I was like, you know what? I think you're right.
Mm.
You're absolutely right. We had no boundaries.
All right, y'all. We gotta have a part two. This is it. This is the last closing here. All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on. I
Thank you for having
appreciate
me.
you guys so much.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a part two, and I'm gonna make sure that it'll be in enough time for everybody can be free. But other than that, you guys, this was phenomenal. I'm not going to take it down. So if you want to take it, put it on your platform, do whatever you want to do with it. It's fine. I'll probably make some shorts out of it, but the whole video will stay up. So you can point people to it so that they can
Yes.
come watch it for educational purposes. All right.
Can everybody
All
give out their social media handlers before we go, in case because it's some people that I want to bring onto a show that I do about this as well.
Yay.
So on YouTube, I'm The Winning Circle 07. You can find me on Facebook as myself, Joy Young.
And
Okay.
I'm Will Greenwood on everything. So WIL Greenwood. You just type it in on Instagram. Am I on TikTok? I believe I'm on TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. And on Facebook, same thing.
On Facebook, I am Amy AMY Oya OYA Diaz DIAZ. On Instagram, I'm I underscore am Oya on Instagram, but it's easier to find me on Facebook, Amy Oya Diaz.
Okay.
On Facebook, I am Danae Hall with apostrophe, D apostrophe NAI. I'm the only one, so it shouldn't be hard to find. On Instagram, I am Miss Goddess Danae. That's MZ Goddess Danae on Instagram. So should be able to find me.
What's your Instagram, doctor?
Dr. Elijah Nicholas, but Conscious already got that.
Y'all is getting on my nerves.
Yes.
Dr. Elijah
Damn,
Nicholas on all
honey.
social media platforms.
Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I don't think there's nobody else.
Thank you for having
Everybody else
us.
have dropped off.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Joy.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bree.
Thank you.
Enjoyed
You
myself.
guys
Nice
have
to you
a
all.
wonderful night. And until part 2, I'll see you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.